Hey guys, so today I want to go over the gear that I don't use anymore. So I think the common denominator is certainly that most of my gear that I've replaced is lighter, but some of it I just would carry it around and there it would be. Every time I'd unpack it I'm like, why do I keep carrying this? So that's what I'm going to cover today, and let's get to it. Alright, first I want to go over backpack. So I used to carry one like this 70-liter pack that had a very robust frame and lots of padding on the straps, especially the hip belt. I still might use something like this in the winter time because I'm carrying so much gear, but because my base weight is so much lower than what it used to be, I just don't need a pack with all this suspension. So this has been replaced by the Kakwa, which I talk maybe too much about, but can't say enough about. This is the Kakwa 40, the original version. So it's, I don't know, 2 years old anyway now. I can't say enough about this. This has a full frame in it too. It has a full aluminum frame. So I find this very, very comfortable, and that's what replaced the heavy backpack of around 7 pounds to about 2 pounds. Alright, next is the tent. So what I have is a Sierra Designs Alpha CD tent, and this is just the pole bag. There's the tent. So it's a 2-person tent, and it weighs in around 8 pounds or so, and it's a great 4-season tent. I would definitely keep that out in 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts probably. So things like that I keep around just in case I need them, but that used to be what I used to backpack with. So my wife and I would take that out and we'd split up the weight a little bit between the two of us, and as the years went on I found that I really prefer a nice lightweight tent. So this one comes in about 14 ounces. It's the Z-Pax Plex Solo, which I'm very happy with and very surprised how well it does in wind. It almost seems like it shouldn't, but I've had very good luck with this in some pretty serious winds, so that replaces my old tent. Alright, next is hiking boots. I used to have a pretty robust hiking boot back in the day, something that went over the ankles for ankle support. Have a lot stiffer sole, they're hard to bend. And they're typically pretty heavy. This pair is fairly light, so it's kind of an in-between what I used to hike with, but I don't have my old boots anymore. So those have certainly been replaced by trail runner type style shoes. These are the Topo Traverse, I think they are. I've been super happy with these, but these weigh very little. They're very lightweight, much more flexible. I have really enjoyed getting away from a heavier boot, and I was really surprised to find out the low ankle wasn't even an issue for me. So I think I actually hurt my ankles more in boots with high top. I don't know why. I mean, there probably is a good reason for that, but I would twist them more often in those boots than I would in these. I think because these twist a little bit more. So I think that might be what's going on with those. I hope Justin doesn't get mad at me, but Justin Outdoors loves these sandals. Mayflies, I think they're called. Yeah, Mayfly ultralight sandals. So I brought those with me. I used them a couple of times and wow, did not like these. They were like not having anything on at all, for one. And I kept catching the toes on everything, so they kept bending back. And they were the right size, so Justin's one of my heroes, so don't take it personal, Justin. But this is something I don't carry anymore, and they don't weigh hardly anything, so such a great idea. But didn't work for me. Another one that doesn't work for me, and Hilltop Packs is wonderful too. I've got all kinds of their gear, and I really like it, but this wasn't one of them. So this is a cord winder, so you can wind your cord up on this. I tried several different styles, but the cord would get so knotted up when I took it off that it kind of negated the idea of using one of these. It's super light. I don't know how much it weighs, but it can't be an ounce. And the whole thing's really badly twisted after I've used it for a little while. So yeah, that's another one I don't put in my pack anymore. But those kind of things, you have to try them out, right? Otherwise you wouldn't know. My stove of choice used to be the Whisper Light. So this is a white gas stove. It's a fantastic stove. I mean, between it and the pump, I found it to be extremely reliable. I've used it for years and years and years, but it is heavy compared to what I use now, right? So that's a big switch. The white gas, it's a little more inconvenient to use, I found, and to store compared to the canister. Well, here, let me show you what I've replaced this with. Probably not a big surprise for most thru hikers or lightweight backpackers. I consider myself a lightweight backpacker because my base weight is nowhere near ultralight, but it's getting, actually that's not true, it's getting close. So the usual Toaks 650, and the other one I rave about all the time, the BRS stove. So, and it has a lot of limitations. It's not perfect by any stretch, but yeah, I've really enjoyed this. It's just amazingly reliable. It's not the most fuel efficient, but it's definitely one of the cheapest. I think I bought it for 14 or so. I think it's up to 17 or 18 now. But yeah, using a fuel canister instead of white fuel. So, I mean, you still got to carry around fuel, right? So, but it's still significantly less weight than the old MSR. So, yeah, that's my stove change. Okay, we're getting there. It is a lot of stuff, that's for sure. Let's see, repair kit. So I used to carry this repair kit with me. Had all the stuff I needed. Probably enough to build my own tent. But I have managed to pare it down to something quite a bit smaller and lighter. So only finding that I need certain essentials in here. So in that one I might have had like a bunch of gauze and athletic tape and etc, etc. This one I might just have a handful of band-aids, or even better, leukotape. Using leukotape and a little bit of gauze and that sort of thing instead of bandages. But definitely I've been able to pare that down to something much, much smaller. One thing, this is kind of semi-controversial, I guess. If you're an organization type person, you may want, lots of stuff sacks. I kind of like them in some ways for organization, but I found I just don't need them. I just don't carry enough stuff to need them. The things that I really need in a bag are in a bag, like the first aid kit I just showed you, or my poop bag, or that sort of thing. So I've definitely replaced those, well, completely eliminated those. I kept finding myself thinking I don't really need them. It doesn't save a ton of weight, but it does save a little bit of weight, and it definitely gives you a little more space in your bag. But I know there's a lot of people that would just die without their stuff sacks to organize, and I think I understand why that is. So water bottle. So I've used the Nalgene water bottle since, I can't tell you how long, ever since I started pretty much. They're so bulletproof. I mean, they are so strong. I've never broke one. I've seen them get broken, but I've never broke one. They're also really nice in the wintertime. I do carry them still in the wintertime because I can heat up water and put them in here and not worry about the plastic melting. Not boiling water, but really warm water. I know on Denali and even on Aconcagua a little bit when I was climbing back in the day, I would use those to warm up the bag. So still a really nice foot warmer in the winter time, and I still use them, but I've definitely replaced them with the Smart water bottle. I do have concerns about this though, as far as getting microplastics coming off on the inside. I haven't really researched that a lot, but you can't beat them for durability and weight. They are so light and so strong. It's another one, knock on wood. I have not been able to break one yet, or at least I haven't had a hole show up on one. I replace them just because I imagine they get, even though I wash them, the opening's so small that it's hard to get in there and really scrub them. So I just replace them once in a while. Actually, I'll hold on to that because the next thing I want to talk about getting rid of is, yeah, toilet paper. Can you imagine? That one, if you told me 10 years ago I wouldn't be carrying toilet paper, I'd be like, yeah, right, you bet. But obviously the reason is because there have been a lot of really nice bidets that have come along. And once you've used these, I don't know how you'd go back, to be honest with you. They just pop in the top like that and have a little hole in the top and you just squeeze the bottle. And they work very, very well. So I've switched to that, and I will not be switching back to toilet paper. It's just too messy. I don't want to have to pack it out. And most people don't, right? So they bury it, and it takes forever to decompose, and it's just not an ethical thing to do. So I'm going to stick with the bidet. That's called the Cola Cleanse, actually, from Garage Grown Gear. Here's something I don't carry anymore. It's a whistle. Back in, I don't know, when I first started backpacking, that was one of the things, was like essential gear to notify people. And it's still a good idea, don't get me wrong. I think a whistle's nice and light, and it's definitely loud. So I'm sure that would carry a long, long way. And it's not that heavy. But I just never used one. I know a lot, like Osprey packs, I think, come with a one on the sternum strap that you can use. So, I mean, if you carry one, it's probably still a good idea if you don't have another way to get a hold of people, but I have definitely stopped carrying that. These are the Uco waterproof, windproof matches, and two things I had happen with these. I tried them out in a non-emergency situation just to see how they would do, and there was a little bit of moisture in the air for sure, but the striker part just completely disintegrated when I started to try and strike it on here. I couldn't get these to strike on anything else, and then this whole match fell apart. I never did get one of these to light. So at home, when everything's dry, and they do great, but out when I needed them, I don't think they would have worked for me. So I don't know if I got a bad batch or what. If this is one of your favorites, comment down below and let me know what's going on. I don't carry them anymore because I couldn't even get them to work at all. So there you go. All right, let's move on. I have my water filter. Ta-da! So Katadyn pump filter. These are still really good filters, and they're not super heavy, but they're bulky. They're hard to pump. I think they might filter a little bit better. I'm not positive about that as far as contaminants go. Most of these have a carbon section in them, so maybe a little better than what I carry, but yeah, I don't carry these anymore. Still a good filter though. Now I carry my Sawyer, or a Be-Free, or a Platypus, whatever I have, but the Sawyer's been my favorite by far. Just very reliable, always works. Not the fastest, but definitely not the slowest. And they come with their own squeeze bags. These get a lot of hate out there because they're very, very hard to fill in that little bitty hole on the end, and they have a habit of tearing at the seams. But I sometimes carry one or two of these just if I need to do a water carry. I can still do that. And this I use mostly, well, actually I went to the Canuck Vecto, so the back opens up nice and wide, making it amazingly easy to fill. You can just have a little trickle of water. You can set this on the edge of the trickle and it'll fill the whole bag. So these are fantastic. They do get holes in them, I guess, occasionally. Some people have trouble with that. I have never had a problem with that yet, but I'm sure that could be a problem. They make a heavy duty one as well. It's just a little bit heavier. So whenever this wears out, that's probably what I'll get. But that's my water filtration system now. And the other thing I used to use when they were so popular when they came out was a water bladder. So this is a Camelback water bladder. There's a lot to like about them, but they are pretty heavy. They're hard to wash. I do drink a little more water with these when it's so handy being right there. And I know they make adapters for water bottles too. So I think Garage Grown Gear carries those too. But it's a little adapter that goes into the water bottle, and you still have that hose. So that could be really good for making sure you're drinking all the time. But I only use this mountain biking anymore. So there you go. I don't use that much. So, my thumbnail, I don't know if you noticed or not, but it had my name on there, Mark, just in case you wanted to know. I used to use headlamps that use the 3 AAA batteries. Not all bad. I mean, it's a pretty nice lamp, and it has, you know, all the settings that you would want, even the red light. This one has something that I particularly like that I wish all headlamps have. And I think there are some that, other than this, that do, but it has a little ring in the middle that glows in the dark, and it literally glows all night long. So I can always find this thing. But I've replaced it with my night core in U24 or something like that. I mean, this thing is just, this is another one I rave about all the time, and I know they've made new ones, and this is the old one, and I just put on a single strap because this thing is so light. I mean, this thing never moves. I don't know why you'd have more than just the single strap on it, but super light. Very reliable, lasts a long time, has the red light. Yeah, I'm gonna start raving about it again, so I better put it away. All right, so next, hang on. All right, I'm back. A pack cover. So backpack rain cup fly, I guess you would call it. Just don't use those anymore. They are a little bit heavy, and I've had pretty bad luck with them leaking one place or another. So over the years I've decided just not to use that. I've replaced it with a noisy nylon. But these are amazingly reliable. I've never had one leak. I replace them once a year just for good measure, but I think they would last years. I'm not sure. So another thing that I have replaced. This one's kind of interesting because I guess this would add weight to the pack overall, but I started carrying a pillow. So I used to just stuff my whatever clothes, extra clothes I had into a stuff sack. Not bringing those anymore, and sleep with that. But man, I tell you what, getting a pillow just made sleeping so much better. So between that and my sleeping pad, which is a Tensor all season right now, this is the Trekology 2.0. Not very expensive, not very heavy, but amazingly comfortable. So I've had this over 2 years. I think it's Justin of Justin Outdoors also that has one of these that he likes so much. And think about how many nights he spends sleeping on different gear and keeps coming back to this one. It's pretty inexpensive too. So yeah, so that is a lot of gear that I've talked about. What's really scary is I started making this list and it was like endless. There's so many things. So I didn't bring a knife with me. I used to carry a pretty big knife all the time. Never, ever, ever, ever used it. And I'm like, okay, so why am I carrying that exactly? So that's gone. I just have that little Swiss Army knife that's so popular. Really lightweight. So I use that one. And I don't even use the blade on that one very often, but I have it, so it's kind of nice. Anyway, so that's a lot of gear that I no longer use, and if you have any questions, make sure you ask in the comments. If any questions, don't have to be about gear I don't use anymore. Yeah, like and subscribe, make me rich and famous, and we'll talk to you soon. See ya.